right.
My name's Paul Burr, and this is Fred Tackle. We play with the band Little Feat. I thought that, his idea of having, monuments of the Bill of Rights in front of a courthouse was a perfect idea. Since people seem to be putting up things like the Ten Commandments and things like that in front of courthouses, I went, if Christians ran the United States, what does that do to all the Jewish people or the Muslims or the Buddhists or America was built on religious freedoms.
Yeah, being chased out.
So
I think people need to be reminded, right?
Yeah.
They need to be reminded what their rights are. Frank Zappa always said, you got to carry a copy of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights with you all the time, just so you can go, excuse me, last time I looked, or in this case, we have it on the back of our passes. So next time someone tells you that you can't do that, you can go, oh, let me check. It says here I can. I think people need to be reminded of what their rights are in this country.
I know that I've been trashed many times. Back in the Bush administration, I used to wear a button that had Bush's picture on it with a circle and a line through it, and we would offend a lot of our Republican fans with that. And I said, hey, this is I'm not up here preaching anything. I just don't dig the cat. Okay. I don't know if we're trying to dumb down the general population in America or what.
You're not crazy. They are. There is a they. I mean, I've said this for years. There's a they, and so you're not paranoid, and they are so big. They really actually don't even care what we do anymore. I've never really cared about the Bill of Rights. I just cared about cash up front. And so if the cash was right and the number was good, I went, whew, I do care about the Bill of Rights, which just seems to be the way America's going anyway. So why shouldn't I join up and really what am I going to show my allegiance for free at this point? Not if we're not going to be making money anymore. You got to take every dime you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think comics get to express themselves a little bit more freer than other folks, because if you wrap it in a joke, people will swallow it. So comedy ends up being the bacon that you put around a rancid fig.
Comedians have a vehicle. You were able to get a message out people couldn't in other places, right? Tell me about that.
Well, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Why do a comedian have to do that? The Pope ain't doing it. The President of the United States ain't doing it. They run all over the world with their guns. But a bunch of comics, but drug addicts, a bunch of thugs and pimps and hustlers, why do they have to do it? The reason America had the greatest army in the history of the planet, they didn't rely on comedians for liberation. And when we think that, that's a cop-out. A woman in America, a white woman in America with a PhD, make 87 cents on the dollar that a white male makes. A black person with a PhD is 85 more times to be turned down when first applied for a home market is a white that dropped out of high school. And so I say that to say that there are people out here that's doing it. Women, white women. I keep saying white women because she came over on the boat with the boy. She was his mother. She was his daughter. She was his wife. She didn't get the right to vote to 1921. I mean, we're dealing with a heathen like the world has never known. And I think it's unfair to put that burden on comics who's not qualified. And I think it's an insult to women to say the comics will liberate you. And so, like I said, this is important to me. It'd be important if it was no comics here.
For me, the Bill of Rights is as equal, if not more important, than the Constitution itself, because that is what affects us individually. The Constitution is more of a country, as what I look at it as a country-sized paper. It covers it. The Bill of Rights is now you're talking about me and my rights and my wife's rights and my friend's rights.
Well, the First Amendment has mixed feelings about the freedom of speech and writing and assembly, and because we were fired out of CBS for utilizing those free speech, we became kind of involved in something I didn't expect to be. All of a sudden I became a spokesman for something I didn't even know existed until someone said, you can't say that. And I said, well, why? Because you can't. I said, I don't see any rules. Pretty soon I started looking up NBA, the National Association of Broadcasters rules, and I go to FCC and I said, where does it say I can't say these things? It doesn't. Everybody was afraid of the government. It wasn't the government. It was the people who own the government. And we don't own the government anymore. But that's the saddest thing. And although we were celebrating the Bill of Rights, it's so important. The whole Constitution has been just destroyed by the owners of the government, which are the people, obviously, because corporations are people. Why didn't they go to jail when they screw up? Well, they're not that kind of a people. I mean, they're kind of people, like semi-people.
You see, this country is run by a handful of people that control the whole world, not these folks. And they give you what they want to give you. You know, if I had a choice of one or two, a monument to the Bill of Rights or a monument to Mother's Day, I'd take the monument to Mother's Day. Because without women, this planet wouldn't be, unless you believe the story of Mary, which I don't. I think it's a good story. It's okay. I don't have no problem with it. But if my wife would have told me that same story, she'd been in serious trouble. You know, it don't work when it gets personal. And let me tell you why. The one thing I'd love to see women come together and change Mother's Day to a date. We give them a Sunday because it don't interfere with commerce. And it's important because women are. We should interfere with commerce. And so, you know, I'm 80 years old and I really resent living in a country that talk about freedom of speech but don't do it.
The point is, I learned we were saying something important because they were trying to stop us. If they hadn't stopped us, I probably wouldn't have kept pushing it. When you tell a comedian not to use a certain word, invariably they will go out of the way to do that. The contrariness of comedians and satirists. So
I think the Second Amendment's pretty funny because I actually am a gun owner, and unfortunately, if you believe in the Second Amendment, you have some idiot like Ted Nugent representing you, and that's really scary. I mean, I think the Second Amendment is too important to have some jacked up hillbilly who's never, you know, taken drugs protecting it. I think that's the problem with Ted Nugent, is the fact that he hasn't taken drugs. You know, if you're a rock star and you haven't taken drugs, you're going to snap, you know? You're going to get a little kooky. I think the apathy towards the Bill of Rights is the fact that it's kind of where the rubber hits the road. So I think it's the warranty to the promises that are made to Americans. So just as people really don't read the warranty when they open a gift, you know, I think that's how they treat the Bill of Rights.
social consciousness or awareness, a sense of fairness I've always had. I hated bullies as a kid growing up. But politically, I came out of the Eisenhower years. Born in 1937, I'm 75 now. So when I was a young man, 20, 22, we were, America does everything right. We tell the truth, we take care of others, we do the whole thing. The next time was I was hearing about people in voter registration in the 60s being beat up and police brutality. And I said, no, they're just saying that to get attention. That doesn't happen. And I said, of course it doesn't. Then I got clobbered by a policeman with a tin thing, 12 stitches in my head in this town over incidental thing. Anyway, all of a sudden I said, took me another place. Then I got on the television show and they said, you can't say that. Pretty soon I became a contrarian and became involved in trying to make the world a better place and just being more fair. And until we have fairness in this world, there'll always be something going on. The Mother Teresa said, all these terrorists and bombings and stuff, he said, you're not going to fix it until there's a better distribution of wealth in the world.